Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to talk about this little book. This is called Getting Used to the Dark, 26 Poems by Susan Marie Swanson and illustrated by Peter Catalanotto. I'm probably mispronouncing this. This is a cute little book. I bought this for my daughter. We haven't really read through it yet. It's a collection of poems, like it said, essentially about darkness and night and kind of making it seem beautiful as opposed to scary. So this is not a scary book. It's a collection of poems about the beauty of the night. So that's the reason it says Getting Used to the Dark. So if you have kids who are afraid of the dark, might be a good book to start reading because it talks about the wonders of the dark. So you have poems like Name for Night, Joni Ice Skating After Dark, To Be Like the Sun, and they're The Night Garden. So they're very beautiful little poems. They're not very long. Sorry, yawning. Again, I have a toddler. She doesn't exactly sleep very well because toddlers. So let's see. I may read one of these. Let's see. Let's look at these and see if there's one that's kind of short. Here we go. Night lights. The stars are hard to tell apart, and so are the square lights lined up in rows on big buildings. Buses are rumbling, houses of light, words filled with light flash on, flash off, pretending to know something. The headlights of cars light up the rain before it hits the street. And that's just one of the very simple little poems. So you can see most of them. Most of them are short like this. They're no more than 2 pages long. They're good things to read at night. They're probably essentially bedtime books, so it's probably a good time to read a couple of these poems if your kids are having hard time going to sleep, or if they're old enough to read them themselves. They can read these at night. I mean, there's only 26 of them. So they're little poems that talk about darkness and the wonders of night. So it's something, I was a kid who was afraid of the dark, probably would have enjoyed reading this book. I also enjoy poetry, so it's also a good book to introduce your children to poetry because these are relatively easy and really, really short, which is kind of a good thing, particularly when you have young kids who are learning about poetry and reading different things. And this one, it's specifically one author and has this very specific theme. For me, poetry is good to read aloud. That's kind of the point of poetry, is to read aloud. And I find it relaxing to read poetry aloud. I have a giant book that I'll probably not cover here because it's not really secular because there's religious poems in there. It's a huge collection. But I read some of the other poetry in it when I'm stressed. And reading poetry aloud has a tendency to calm me down. It's one of my things I do when I desperately need to relax. So this one's, again, I enjoyed this book. I bought it because I like the title and I love poetry and I want to introduce it to my daughter. She's a little too young for this right now. She's not quite 2 as of this filming, which is in June. By the time this airs, she'll be a little bit older. I still don't know if she'll be ready for this. She doesn't have the patience for it right now. She loves to be read to, but this is a little long. Or probably just not as age appropriate. Elementary school kids would enjoy this. Even I think middle school kids and even high school kids would enjoy this. Just because, again, it's a collection of poetry. So here's one. I'll read another one here. Carla's Worries. Carla's scissors are lost. Math homework's not done. The ivy plant on the windowsill wants water. Night has broken the city into bits and pieces of light. And the lights say, wait for the sun. Can't remember Dad's new phone number. Can't miss the bus again. Can't sleep. The scattered bits of light say, wait for the sun. Need to get Mama a birthday present. Where's that missing love? Pillowcase torn, shoelace snapped. They won't or will not. Will they wait? The bits and pieces of light say, wait for the sun. So essentially this is a pretty little poem that essentially there's girls, basically she's worrying about a bunch of things and essentially the refrain implies like wait for day. It's like you can't do anything about it. This is nighttime. So again, it's a very pretty little poem. There's actually not much else to this little book. I would highly recommend it for elementary, middle school, even high school kids. If you want to start a unit on poetry, it's a good thing to do. If you're looking for something relaxing to read at night to your kids, particularly if they're uneased about the dark, this is a great book to start with. And it has short, simple little poems that are talking about the night and getting used to being in the dark, something I never did. Yes, I'm in my late 30s and I'm still afraid of the dark. I do not like being alone in the dark. So that is my kryptonite. So that's really it. This is a beautiful book. I will link it in the description below. That's it for this review. If you like my review, I will cover more poetry books later. I'm covering more darker fiction books throughout the month of October, as well as finishing up Harry Potter, which again, by this time it gets dark. I started back in September. So otherwise, I'm covering a few other fun stuff. This is one of the lighter books that I'm covering. I'm also covering the classics like Frankenstein and Dracula and The Phantom of the Opera. So if you want to check out those reviews as October goes on, and check out my Harry Potter stuff. Coming in November, I'm covering a bunch of Native American stuff, looking at some databases as well as some children's Native American books. Back in September, again, I was covering Harry Potter. I have a bunch of other children's book reviews, some sprinkling of secular homeschooling reviews, a few travel videos coming in December, all fun stuff, secular Christmas films, and some great children's books. So if you like this review, like and subscribe, check out my other stuff, and look forward to the stuff that's coming in the future. Thank you.